This is a framing projector. Sometimes we call it an ellipsoidal, and often they're used in theater to kind of create scenes. They're a very flexible luminaire. They can do a lot of different things. But it's not specifically a theatrical tool. We see them used a lot in retail to project company logos and in art galleries. So let's take a look at the anatomy of a framing projector. The back of the projector is where we have the light source. So while there are LED versions, this is an MR16, so it's a halogen source with a reflector pushing the light forward. Towards the middle, we have the ellipsoidal reflector that gives the luminaire its name. So that's actually shaping the light and creating a point of focus. Over here, where these shutters, this shutter assembly exists, this is where the light is actually crossing. And it moves forward to the barrel over here, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. It's worth noting that because these are meant to be very flexible instruments, most framing projectors come with a yoke as well. So I can tip the light up and down, I can spin it around. This makes it ideal for flexible applications like theater, where you're trying to aim it exactly in one place. However, we're not restricted to this kind of mounting. There are also recessed light fixtures with framing projector properties that some residences use when they have high-end art. Talking about the barrel now, so one of the properties of that ellipsoidal projector is that we can get sharp edges based on the focal distance between the ellipsoidal center point and the lens of the reflector. And this barrel, which is what we call the outer assembly with the second lens, this barrel comes in different beam spreads. This particular one is a 50-degree beam spread, so it's a rather large beam that we're creating, but you could actually remove this and put a 19-degree barrel in for a different effect. So I've now made a sharp circle on the wall. When we talk about beam and field angle, this has almost no field angle. It's a very even amount of light from the center of the beam to the edges. And speaking of the edges, I'm going to use these shutters to actually trim in the shape. This is why it's called a framing projector. I can frame a shape in. It's unusual to think about it, but this, if I move the right frame in, I'm actually adjusting my left frame in the light source because there's an inversion happening in the center of focus. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these down to make a nice little portrait, a square on the wall. And you can imagine how in an art gallery this can be very useful to really highlight one piece of art without casting shadows on the rest of the wall. It can really bring it forward and make it seem like it's floating. It's a very effective strategy. I mentioned that ellipsoidal projectors can also be used for logos and putting in any kind of pattern. I have a pattern here that we'll insert, and we'll be able to see a sharp shape. Let's sharpen that up, and oh my goodness, there's Bozo the Clown. If anyone has a fear of clowns, I apologize for not warning you in advance. So typically a company might put their logo in here. In the theater, maybe there's going to be tree texture that they'll project through. And the last part of a projector, the front of it actually has a frame to hold other media. So you can do things like add theatrical gel or glass in the front, so you can change your already creepy clown into a red creepy clown. It's worth noting that this front section is not particularly sharp, so if I'm putting two lenses side by side, there's not a crisp blend between them. I'm kind of getting a half orange, half red, but there's some blend in the middle. Really the only place in this fixture where you get that crisp image creation is in the focal point, where we currently have the clown template and where those four shutters are placed. So that's a framing projector. Again, typically used in theater and retail and art, but can be very effective for any architectural application when you want to add texture or shadows that aren't there naturally and kind of add a mysterious ambiance to your space.